Florida residents are streaming out of the Tampa Bay region ahead of what could be a direct hit from Hurricane Milton.
Please evacuate to Bargo High.
11 counties are under mandatory evacuation orders, triggering traffic snarls and fuel shortages. A direct hit on the Bay would be the first since 1921, and authorities fear their luck is about to run out. Hurricane Helene, which struck last month, has left the area more vulnerable to damage. Rubbish trucks have been working around the clock to remove debris before Hurricane Milton turns it into dangerous projectiles.
We've made a huge dent in this. The more debris we can get picked up, the less damage is going to happen, whether that's floating into the Gulf of Mexico, whether it's projectiles that go into other buildings.
ABC meteorologist Tom Saunders joins us now. And Tom, what's the latest on Milton's location and intensity?
Well, Kath, Milton is now only around 24 hours away from making landfall. Here's the system earlier Wednesday on the satellite. You can notice the eye, it's clearly visible. Now, that's always an indication of an exceptionally intense tropical cyclone or hurricane when the centre is not obscured by these thick cloud bands around the eye. Now, here is the path that we've seen over the past few days, starting in the Western Gulf and then tracking further east. So Milton has now entered the Eastern Gulf of Mexico and it has re-strengthened. So a short time ago, the mean winds around the eye were at 260 kilometres per hour with gusts over 300 kilometres per hour. That makes it a Category 5. It's around 600 kilometres off the coast of Florida, heading towards the coast at roughly 20 kilometres per hour. It should accelerate that forward speed slightly overnight, which is why I would expect landfall in around 24 hours.
OK, Tom, and what threats does Florida face as Milton makes landfall tomorrow?
Well, let's start with the threat from the wind and the storm surge. So here is the forecast track heading directly northeast towards the central west coast of Florida, making landfall later on Thursday. The system is expected to weaken slightly before hitting the coast. However, even though it should weaken, it should expand in size. The result is gale force winds spinning around the eye will extend right up north and south hundreds of kilometres across Florida, but right near the centre is where we'll still see maximum gusts up to about 250 kilometres per hour. Now, due to this broad region of gale force winds, there'll also be a life-threatening storm surge. It's forecast to peak on the central coast of up to 4.5 metres, and that will lead to severe inundation. The other threat, of course, is the rainfall. Here is the forecast rain as the system pushes across the Florida peninsula. Some good news is, after making landfall, we're not expecting Milton will stall, and it's when the systems stall that you generally see the worst flood disasters. But nevertheless, we're still expecting up to 300 millimetres of rain. And of course, one feature which will make the impacts from Milton more severe than your average hurricane or tropical cyclone is the highly populated stretch of coastline where it should make landfall. Just around Tampa Bay, for example, there's more than 3 million residents, and that area has not taken a direct hit from a hurricane since the 1940s.